Hi, my name is Donna Liu. I'm the executive director of the University Channel at Princeton University. Thank you very much for having me here today. Rick Prelinger might have described himself as a recovering archivist. I have to describe myself as a recovering television news journalist with CNN for many, many years. And as a news producer, I had the privilege of talking to many, many people who have given a lot of thought and research to solving the problems of the world. And I would have very long discussions with them, and it would all be on tape. And then very tragically, I would come back into the newsroom and throw away about 95% of what they said. So I was fortunate enough to be offered a teaching fellowship at Princeton, and it came at a time when the new media was changing all of the concepts that we old media people had about delivering news and information to the public. I came to Princeton. There are lots of fantastic lectures at Princeton. I found out a lot of them were being taped, and that Princeton was streaming some of them on the web, but that's about as far as it went. And I thought, we are reaching an age where if you simply lowered the barriers of production, you could admit all this great new content, and then if you lowered the barriers of distribution, you could deliver it back out to a much broader public than was ever possible before. So the University Channel is a consortium of public policy schools. Many of them have these public affairs lectures. Many of them tape them for archival purposes. And as I started calling around to other universities, I discovered that many of them did not have channels of distribution. Now, this is changing very quickly with the advent of podcasts and all of that. Many universities are doing it on their own. But it seemed worthwhile still to pursue a curated collection of lectures on public and international affairs, full, unedited lectures with the live audience. The questions from peers, pre-selected by the universities themselves, so that all of the issues of who is doing the gatekeeping, which is what a lot of institutions of journalism use as justification for their editorial policies, is taken up now by universities. The concept is very simple. It's essentially a blog. The most recent lectures are on the top. They are given to us to host either, depending on whether it was just taped as audio or whether it was taped as audio or video, but I'll take a multi-formatted example just to show you. We asked the universities to contribute in the highest resolution possible because I think unlike a lot of video online projects, we also distribute through the internet to television stations for full-blown rebroadcast. And this was definitely not possible back in my days at CNN because I still remember in 1989 when the man walked in front of the tank, if any of you remember that image. We had that image on videotape. The only way to feed the videotape out of China in those days, you had to go through a Central Chinese TV, CCTV. And of course, they weren't going to let us feed the image. So we had the video, but you could not transmit video over a regular phone line in those days except pixel by pixel. So we took one image and we fed it pixel by pixel over a phone line, and it was received at CNN Atlanta. It took 2 minutes for the entire image, single still image, to feed, and our anchors found the story so compelling that they were actually talking about it as the image was unfolding on the screen live. Well, now we are feeding to these access stations, many of whom are, these are municipal community educational access stations. Don't have tremendous resources. Some of them still have only dial-up connections, and yet they can FTP an hour and a half program and then convert it to whatever their playback format is, and put it out to the local television audience. And we do not ignore the television audience, even though we do have a large online audience, but I still feel that the television audience is significant, particularly when you're aiming for overseas distribution. So we are committed to maintaining our programming in as high original resolution as possible. Our archives are in high resolution MPEG-2, and this is useful for not only television stations, but the new IPTV, television over the internet protocol. A lot of universities are using this in recognition of the fact that more students bring laptops to universities than bring TVs. They are deploying regular broadcast channels over their IP network so that students can watch TV on their laptops, and the university channel is there. And in collaboration with Campus EAI, reaching a potential 40 million within the EDU domain, not only in the United States, but overseas. So our distribution is simple. We take one, give us your digital file and we will transcode. The podcast audience, our typical lecture is downloaded perhaps 3,000 times. I feel like, compared to Skype and Google here, I feel like the David following Goliath, but I'm very heartened by evidence of who those people are. We have, about 15% from overseas, 10% from the EDU domain, and those are the statistics, but I know that a lot of people link to our site from WebCT and Blackboard, so it's being used as educational materials. We've had K through 12 closed circuit people asking us for the high resolution MPEG-2 programming. My Dean Slaughter, went to Libya recently, and someone came up to her and said, "Oh, thank you for the university channel." So things like that really, warm my heart, because we are trying to reach as broad an audience as possible. And these are public lectures to begin with, so the IP issues are greatly simplified for us because a lot of these people want to be heard. If they don't sign a release, then they simply don't show up. So we're not trying to persuade professors to let us film an entire course. When Apple unveiled the video iPod, we deployed the MPEG-4 format, and with all of the new formats that come up, I'm reminded, I'm old enough to remember the television feed rooms in remote capitals around the world where you had a whole bank of outlets to suit all the different formats and all the different machinery that foreign news crews might bring in. And I feel actually we're somewhat in the same field now, only we're dealing with codecs and lines of code, and the goal is the same. The goal is to get the content out to the public. Now, a lot of these universities who have joined us, there's no, it's completely non-exclusive distribution. We're distributing under Creative Commons with attribution, non-derivative license is the one we chose. And a lot of the schools have all this material on their own websites, and that is fine, that is good. But I think we provide the additional value of having a single go-to spot for the discussion of public and international affairs. And so, for example, Stephen Bosworth, who is the dean of Fletcher, might be speaking at LBJ in Texas. And everyone benefits from the fact that all these schools are providing their material to a common place so that the much broader discussions, say, of events in Iraq, climate change, et cetera, are accessible from a single search. And that is pretty much it.